Good evening. I want to say hello, good afternoon, good evening, namaste, all of the above. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Melanin Report 360. The Melanin Report 360. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Like, share, subscribe, follow. So as you see, I just went to the gym a couple of hours ago, and I had to go to South Mountain area and take care of some things, and coming back and this and that. I was like, okay, I'm going to do the show and then prepare for bed and all of that. So I just wanted to give a shout out to my brother. He knows who he is, for counsel and support on some things that's going on with me. And he's got a big heart and a lot of love to give. And I am so appreciative. Over the years, we have had a wonderful relationship as friends. He's my brother from another mother. So you know who you are, and I want to, send love back to you. And really, really sweet man. Okay, so like, share, subscribe, follow. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Like, share, subscribe, follow. Pardon me. I've got my water tonight because I'm working out and all that, and traveling a distance of picking up something in South Mountain and coming back. I was just really, really thirsty. So I want to have my water right by my side. So I just wanted to take a moment. My title for tonight is "We Live in Two Americas," and no question, no question. We have always lived in two systems, depending on what you look like, who you are. Depends on the bias or the way that we are, quote unquote, treated. I try to stay above the fray. My energy is that what I'm able to do in this incarnation. So I had a police officer of a police van. I think we have SUVs or something out here, and I saw him. I always look in the rearview mirror when I'm driving occasionally, and so I got over. I didn't stop, but I got over so he would have the lane, he or she. And so I guess he got off. I was on the street and he got off, maybe Camelback or something. But I'm not going into the anxiety necessarily, because we know about the fear. We talked about that last night. And so I recognize the police. They're not out here so much. When I lived in Atlanta, it seemed like everywhere I looked, you saw some police or the presence, and that made Atlanta really kind of intense in that way, because they're always looking, trying to have a gotcha moment and be able to perhaps do harm to our sisters and brothers. But I don't want to get off the topic, but I wanted to just share, follow, like, subscribe, share, follow, like, subscribe. Let me go ahead and read the fair use, because I'm going to talk about a couple of articles that it was so amazing since January 6th of this year. So I don't think they're making a lot of it's not hidden. We should not be surprised that with this. Let me go ahead and read this fair use disclaimer, because I'm about to go in on something. So copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit education or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So got that, so I can kind of go in. So I hope everyone had a great evening. Like I said, I had a wonderful day. Yeah, I had to take care of some business, and so all is well in my soul and my heart. But I just wanted to bring to your attention a couple of things. I'm going to pull up it on my device because it was so, we see a lot of, you know, in January 6th, on January 6th, it was very apparent. So, bias, just less police, the police that were there, no rubber bullets, none of that, because they were white men. White men, okay? They seemed like they were kind of passive, everything that I saw, and it just seemed like they were a little bit reserved and not coming out, guns blazing. And so we see that capture, we see that those pictures, with them waving the flag, the Confederate flag, this and that. And so we see those images, and I know, no question about it. We know what the outcome would have been if those were Black Lives Matter. Okay. So we get that. We get it. We live into America's, I think, one nation under God, that doesn't exist. That doesn't exist. That is not, we sing the song, and this country was never created in such a manner. And so one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. When has that happened? Please let me know, because maybe I fell asleep for 20, 30 years. I don't know. But this is not the reality of our people. We know that. And this is not the reality for class, depending on your stage in life, meaning economics. It just has to do with race. Let's not beat around the bush. So it is clear cut. No question about it. So January 6th, we see those images, and now I'm going to go into some information that perhaps you've seen it. I'm not really sure on that. So let me go into these unsettling depiction of what has happened in this last 24, 48 hours. Okay, so Tiger Woods was in an automobile SUV accident. Apparently the ramp, it seems like there was a ramp that he went off, but it seems like there was a problem with the ramp. So maybe now they will kind of reconstruct or see what they can do, because a quote unquote celebrity has, they said he may or may not play golf, so this was severe. This was a severe action. This, I think he was alone in the car, and he was driving, obviously. I think he's like close to a billionaire. So I don't know. I don't know if I would drive, but myself, when I have that kind of money, I can employ someone and, have a couple of people on standby of driving me. But with that said, it could have been even worse if he was a passenger. So we just don't know. But nevertheless, he was actually driving, and perhaps lost control of the vehicle. And I don't think another vehicle was involved. I did not see that in my reporting or the reports that I've been reading. And so with the solo accident, he wasn't impaired. They test for drugs in the system and urinalysis, blood work, which is probably more definitive. I don't know if blood work or urinalysis, but they said no drugs, and he would, clean as a whistle in that regard. And so that was good. So what I'm confused on, so breaking news, this is from TMZ, okay? So apparently they have very little retractions. So I think it's a reputable source, even though it is sensational, if you will. So I don't think they have too many retractions. So with that said, Tiger Woods, this is I'm reading from, I don't know if you'll see that, but this is breaking news. Tiger Woods won't face criminal charges for car crash, sheriff says. So maybe I'm missing something, because if it would, I mean, why was that even? I'm just at a loss for words. How is it that there was a consideration if he didn't cause an accident? Not another vehicle was not involved. He just lost control of the car and it flipped over a couple of times or whatever. But how is it criminal? That was the language, again, from TMZ. They have a picture of his face and with the TW emblem, his Tiger Woods emblem. And so Tiger Woods, let me read this again, won't face criminal charges for crash, sheriff says. So I understand if it was drugs in the system, alcohol in the system, but that wasn't the case. Even if it was, why would that warrant anything other than being an accident? People have accidents all the time in this country. So why would he be subjected, or perhaps not subjected, to criminal charges? So what makes it criminal? Driving a license, a registered license, you lose control of the vehicle, you go down an embankment or whatever happened, and no other car was involved. He didn't have drugs or alcohol. They tested. So why would it be criminal? Criminal. That is the language. So I was scratching my head on that, because my understanding, there were no drugs in the system, alcohol in the system. B, there was no other vehicle. So you're going to charge a person for crashing his own vehicle? No one else? How would the language be so that it is criminal? He won't face criminal. He won't face criminal charges. Why would it be criminal? See, your language is important. Language is important every day of the week. So the fact that they were suggesting that they're taking that off of the table. I mean, I have to hear from my people. I know my sisters and brothers that are tuning in. I know that we have above average intelligence, and so I'm not understanding why it would have been considered criminal. It was an accident. There was no other person involved. There was no other car involved. So help me out with that. So that was here, TMZ. Tiger Woods won't face criminal charges for crash, sheriff says. So I don't understand what's going on with that. So the fact that he won't, well, anyway. So now I scroll down, ironically, to Bruce Springsteen. I don't know, you probably can't see that. Well, that's a picture of him. I don't know if that's gonna come up or. So again, still on TMZ. So Bruce Springsteen, and we know Bruce Springsteen, been around a long time. Okay, they have a picture of him. Pleads guilty to boozing, a lot of alcohol, DUI, reckless driving. Charges dropped. Let me say it again. Somebody may not have heard that. Okay, so breaking news, Bruce Springsteen pleads guilty to boozing, DUI, reckless driving, charges dropped. This is why we lived in two Americas. Two well-known superstars, or in their own right, in their own lane. So superstar level of stardom. One, they're not going to give criminal charges, even if there was an accident with another vehicle. How could he, meaning Tiger, and I appreciate Tiger, all his skill set and all like that. He may not play golf. I get it. I'm totally, with that kind of, he might have to go through a lot of, you know, uh, surgeries and or rehabilitation. So we get it. He's 45 years old. That's, he still has some more years on the golf course, and as I think Phil Nicholson is in his 50s or 60s, somewhere in there. So obviously I get it. But the fact that Bruce Springsteen, on the other hand, pleads guilty to boozing, DUI, reckless driving, charges dropped. Are you freaking kidding me? So this is what I am saying. We live in two separate Americas. Some people, white men and women, they get a pass each and every time. Tiger Woods, and I'm not so much of a fan, but I'm just cutting it dry. It's black and white right now, because I'm looking at Bruce Springsteen, who could have DUI, that out of the gate, reckless driving, and the charges were dropped. So I'm scratching my head on that. And we know two Americas exist today. It didn't matter if we put Biden in, Kamala in, all the people of color. Biden is priding himself on America. It's going to look like America, his administration. Okay, cool. All right. So, we give you a thumbs up or not. But wherever you are on the political spectrum, it's important that we recognize where we are. The fact that Biden skirted around the question about reparations, or it was somewhere about that, he was asked about, I don't know if it was specifically reparations, but he was asked about perhaps police brutality. And his response was, I'm paraphrasing. We have more, he said, we have more interracial couples on TV, and that could be a start for reconciliation. I don't know how his theory came into his mind, because police brutality is police brutality. No ends, we see this on January 6th, 6 weeks ago. And so we know there was restraint and reserve. Black Lives Matter, they would have had bullets come flying. I mean, that's the reality. So the fact that Biden is sugarcoating it, or avoiding the question, that tells me it's a bigger problem than he wants to admit. He's willing to admit. And even though it was right in our faces, I was watching in real time on January 6th, and I could believe the restraint, because that's what happens in white people's world. In fact, I had a former, I'm trying to think if it was a manager, someone that I worked with a few years ago. He told me he was a white male. Okay. He was pulled for DUI, couldn't walk the line, and the police officers drove him back to the station, had him in a cell, and he was able to sleep it off, and they took him back to his car the next morning. This is what we are going through. This is what, he told me this was probably a year or two ago, and he shared this story with me as a Black female, a melanated female. So this is, we are not surprised. We, meaning the melanated community, we hear these stories, we see the reporting, blah, blah, blah. So what are we going to do? What are we willing to do? That's my question. Are we willing to jump ship, pardon the phrase, and get the what out of here? Do we, if they give us reparations and we go to Ghana or we go to Nigeria and help build those, communities as best as we can with the resources we would have had, I think that would be a good start. Because I remember that nothing is going to change. The administrations can come and go. Administrations can come and go. All, next 20, 30, 40 years. Okay. Come and go. Republicans, Democrats, don't matter. We are under the impression, oh, Democrats are better. Republicans are bad. That's a figment of your imagination. I think you have to get off the ledge, because, my grandparents were Republicans, but they knew that Republicans were responsible for, quote, freeing the slaves. So I get that in the mindset. And this was like I wasn't even born. So this was probably 50s. Yeah, 50s or so. They were all Republicans. My grandparents on my father's side. And so I could get it in that way. But right now, how are we seeing so much difference? Obviously Trump is out of there. Okay. So, but where are the policies and procedures that are going to protect Black and brown people? They're not. They're pushing back on reparations. Like I said, I was watching a program. I'm not going to mention it again, but Erica Alexander from Living Single is going to start a podcast. I'm not trying to plug it, but at least they're having a quote conversation. And with the new administration, they are willing to have a study about reparations. OMG. We have to do a study? Is that what they're telling us? We have to do a study. We don't have enough data. Seriously? They're saying that with a straight face. I mean, this is another reality that I'm not aware of. But the fact that we're not holding their feet to the fire, we could be considered complicit. It seems like, okay, they're in office, yay, 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 and we did our part, and they can't even decide on whether or not reparations should be a study. A study. That's insulting our intelligence. This is why it's all the same. Politics, it's all the same. We don't have an idea of what's going on behind the scenes. Now, the COVID, the this, the that, we're going up in arms on it. They're looking at the numbers saying, well, no, not African. So blacks, that's what okay. So we are the lowest number of people to have received the vaccine. You don't say. So this is where we are. This is where we are. This is where we are. We see the two Americas. I gave you an example. Back January 6th, we have that example. The two people, superstars, we see the example. Bruce Springsteen, he was, DUI admittedly, blah, 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 reckless driving, and charges are dropped. Tiger Woods, he won't face criminal charges. What did he do that was criminal? Is anyone asking that? So, should we bounce out of this country? I don't have any children, but I think if I did, I would really, 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 really super duper consider leaving, especially if we receive reparations. If we get reparations and we have to vacate, that's a win-win. We can go back to the motherland and help with our resources and pull money together, help restore our homeland, and tap into that energy because there's so many rich resources. And I think I saw something that our beloved brother, Stevie Wonder, I saw a report that he is going to Ghana. He said, I think he's going to be interviewed by Oprah. I was like in passing that I saw that information before I came on. But so Stevie Wonder, another wonder, he wrote a lot of excellent music. I was listening to some of his music when I was working out, and he still has just an excellent songwriter, putting words on paper. It's just amazing. I'm not being funny, but the talent, it's just when you listen to his lyrics, it's really, he's really a supernatural power. And we all are. I'm not saying but we can tap into it perhaps a little bit as he has. But clearly, there is a conversation now about leaving here. And I think he articulated for the safety of his grandchildren. So children, If you're going to stay, hey. But I don't know if he's rounding up all of the family. I'm not sure on that. I may listen to the interview whenever it happens. But the fact that there's a conversation, because he feels, even with his stardom, even with his success, he's a Black man in America. His children are Black people in America. And so we see the disparaging results, reports. And so we should ponder seriously, do we stay here? Sandra Bland, Tamar Rice, two of the countless number of young people who still should be on this planet. Because we are in an environment that is savage and without any repercussions. So if you can shoot at will, nothing's going to come, maybe 2 weeks vacation while they investigate, nothing serious is going to come from your actions. If you're definitely a police officer, even if you are I think that was George Zimmerman, he was just walking and had a weapon and saw this young man, wrestled him, and he shot him cold-blooded. Didn't even know the man. Didn't know. Just what I'm saying, it's a psyche. The brain is not working. Not saying all, but the brain capacity, when they see, they're like animals. I'm calling it like I see it. And so we should, let me know what you're thinking. If I'm on track of saying, should we have a conversation? Should we have a community conversation about this? If we get $2 to $5 million each, reparations, and we have to leave within 6 months and a year, I'm there. I know that is it's a strange land in one way, but it's home. It's home. That's where we were taken from savagely. And so to return to our source and our to the greatest on country, or I'm sorry, not the greatest country, the greatest territory and continent on this planet, all the resources, it's just, my DNA came back from, let's see, part Nigeria and part Mali and part Cameroon and Bantu peoples and that kind of thing. But those regions, that's where my DNA is originating from, those territories, those countries, and those regions. So it's something to consider. It's something to consider. If we get, now they're just trying to say, should we have, that's just so insulting. So we can do a study? Really? A study? We don't have data. We don't have any data of, like, we just fell off the next truck. I'm like, why would you need to do a study? And how long will the study be? And what will the study magically reveal? So it's really troublesome, but we go on with our daily lives, but we have to take a moment to make some decisions, because, America, and all stretch of imagination, it is a dangerous place. Black and brown people, we know this. We've seen it. We don't have to get a report. We don't have to say, oh, we need to do some research. We're living it. We have been able to, many of us, escape, go the other way, or we have, ancestors protecting us. I know my father's spirit is with me, and I go unscathed, but clearly this is something for us to consider. So with that said, thank you so much for tuning in to Melanin Report 360. Like, share, subscribe, follow. And definitely share this video, because I'm dropping some jewels, and I know there's a limited number of people on this, but I'm going to do my due diligence to do a little bit more social media, and go on different platforms to let people know we're here. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful, peaceful night, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Peace.